3 weeks from today, episode 1000, at least as of now, barring my getting sick or making another mistake like I did over the weekend. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to No BS Job Search Advice Radio. Today's another career show. By that I mean it's not specifically about job hunting, but thinking about your career proactively so you don't make dumb mistakes that prove costly and abdicate your decisioning to your employer. Hope you find this helpful. Please give the show 5 stars on iTunes or Stitcher. It helps other people discover the show. And if you have a question for me about your job search, Facebook. If you use Messenger to message me at No BS Coaching Advice, that's facebook.com/No BS Coaching Advice, I'll be able to get the message. Don't tell me a big long story. Just ask me a direct question. I'll be able to get back to you once I pick up the message and either do a video or give you a text answer, okay? And in the meantime, let's get going. I want to talk with you today about who's responsible for your career. Now, I've answered this question before, you, but I want to go a step further. The behavior most people engage in when they're managing their career is they lurch from one dissatisfying career situation to a good one, to a dissatisfying one, to a good one. And when enough bad ones build up, they suddenly go, I got to change jobs. Wrong. There's no thought that's going in there. You're emotionally lurching from one to another. Now, I want you to think in terms of what you need to do in order to advance to that next step. Now, your employer has their agenda. They're going to want to bring you into situations that serve the business and their particular needs. Nothing wrong with that, but they may not serve you. So, for example, I work with a lot of people in technology, and one day they get a knock on the door, and suddenly they're being moved to a project that's not particularly interesting, or they're left behind to maintain the work that they helped develop. It becomes disinteresting. They kind of hang in there for fear that they're important and they don't want to change jobs so fast, but eventually the frustration builds up with the tedium, and they then go to change jobs. No reason to go through that. Be proactive. When you start a new position, you need to think in terms of what's the next career step for you and what do I need to do in order to get there? Is that more training? If you don't know, by the way, start networking and doing informational interviews. You have an idea? Get onto LinkedIn, do a Google search for someone who's in that role, and ask them if you can schedule 15 minutes with them for coffee. Go over, meet with them, say, look, I'm not here to have you I'm not here to try and get me a job with your firm. I really am trying to gather information because I don't know enough. This is what I'm thinking of. This is where I am right now. I see you're doing this kind of work. How did you get there? What did you need to know? If you were me looking at this, how would you do more research? Just start asking questions. It's a big component of what's going to help you be successful instead of lurching from thing to thing. Finally, if the entire issue is coming down to your career and you're not really happy in the career, start looking at a new one. And I would say start off by looking at what your strengths are, where you're happiest, where you're most effective. Do some industrial psychology training, like doing Myers-Briggs, do a DISC assessment. Start looking at some of the testing that's out there that can help narrow down the things that you enjoy most and enjoy least, and focusing on the ones that you like most. Maybe it's going to tell you that you need to look at a completely different career. Maybe it's going to tell you, what you can be doing within your career to be more successful. At the end of the day, start adding some tools to your tool belt so you're not just simply lurching from one thing to another with no information and emotionally making decisions. So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here's a few ways to engage with me. First of all, I just want to say that I no longer do recruiting. I coach people to perform at a high level. So again, I no longer do recruiting. But if you visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, Look at the tabs on the top and you'll see a menu of choices for you. First of all, you can hire me to do a resume and or LinkedIn profile critique, interview preparation, helping you with a salary negotiation, answering your question, advising you about a decision you have to make about job offers. That's all there as an option. I can do a job search makeover with you where we critique everything you've been doing in your search up until that point and come up with alternatives. If you're relatively early in your search, we can do a complete coaching program where I work with you from beginning to end. It's in half-hour increments, so it doesn't take a lot of time in each session, and that's another way you can do it. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Mention that you listen to the show because I love hearing with folks who like the show and are interested in my help. Lastly, I also want to mention I've got a lot of information at thebiggamehunter.us, and at times it seems like it's too much. So you can look at the best of my material at JobSearchCoachingHQ.com, where I have curated information that you can watch, listen to, or read that'll help you find work more quickly. Again, that's JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, hope you have a great day. Take care.